How are you guys doing? This is Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I just got back from vacation and I wanted to make another RFK Jr. video just because there's a lot of hit pieces going on. And of course you saw this coming, and just goes to show you that they're deathly afraid of RFK Jr. and they're doing their favorite thing. They're trying to ruin his character, claim he's a racist, and all these things that couldn't be further from the truth, to shine the light away from all of the corporate corruption, from war to pharmaceutical companies and everything else that RFK Jr. is ousting. And then of course cryptocurrency. He's a big time cryptocurrency advocate and wants to do everything to make sure he protects people's rights to hold crypto and get rid of a hostile relationship. So actually I forgot my coffee. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's absolutely absurd. There's this big hysteria that he's anti-Semitic right now because he made the claim that in an off-color conversation, he said that COVID-19 could have been a bioethnic weapon. And he said that there could be evidence suggesting that, I'm trying to remember the name of the Jewish community, or that is less immune to it potentially, and also Chinese. He said this in a conversation that this could be a thing, and in fact, they are definitely creating bioethnic weapons to target people with. Like, this is a real thing. Biowarfare can be a thing, and the fact that you can't talk about it means you're a racist, and there might be a conversation about it. It is absolutely insane. It's this big hysterical thing. The whole media is trying to slander him. They got his uncle's grandson coming out and saying how Joe Biden's the best president of all time. It's absolutely comical. The way everything is going to try to target against him, and he is still holding strong, around the 20th percentile. They really think this kind of smear will distract him. And look, I'll be honest, him becoming president is somewhat of a long shot, but the strategy really is, in my belief, is that Joe Biden could be unfit to run for president, and he's not in good health, and if something were to happen, RFK Jr. has created all this progress, all this momentum, getting his name on all the ballots. He could potentially slip in that slot. Now you don't know if that's going to happen. Is the Democratic Party going to push against him? Push against Biden? They really don't like him, but the odds of an incumbent president winning is a good bet to take, and it's all corporate power and corporate interests. And so I just find it incredibly fascinating how the whole climate against people like RFK Jr., they took down his podcast with Jordan Peterson on YouTube. And this is fascinating. You literally can't let people speak. And what people don't understand, there's a weapon the federal government uses against these social media agencies. There's a protection that they have. I don't know the exact name of the law, but you can look it up. That Facebook and YouTube and all these media sites cannot be held liable if someone slanders another person on their website or says something bad or gives bad information. There is a protection where you cannot sue, let's say YouTube, if I defame another person on their platform. YouTube is not liable for that. The person that did it is. And there has been threats from the federal government to these large companies that they will lose their protection if they do not do what the government says or the intelligence agency says. So when you look at how free speech is under attack and the private companies have the right to do. They are being held hostage and hostile, and probably a lot of times complicit with the government. And if they are complicit, they have the right to have whatever content on their website, but the government is colluding to make sure that on these major platforms, the media they want to get out gets out. So, me as someone that's a pretty strict libertarian or anarcho-capitalist, I am in full support of someone I don't totally agree with. RFK Jr., there's a lot of things I don't agree with, but he's right on so many important things. And as someone that doesn't want government, I don't want to start by taking away, child health care or Social Security or things like that. We can get to those problems later, but we have to stop the wars. We have to stop the corporatism. We have to stop the massive inflation. We have to, use to free market money solutions. And these are things that move in that direction. And if you're in the mindset that you just need to, pick the winning candidate and help the winning candidate because, let's say, the lesser of two evil, what I've found is helping candidates that have these strong movements behind them and that really are better and not just corporate bought, garbage. You don't win. I don't think I've ever voted for someone that's actually won. But what you do is you make that tent larger and you make that tent appealing for other people to take pieces of it. So, for example, let's say Ron Paul. Ron Paul was probably the best politician the United States has ever had. And his campaign, if you look at the parties and even the Republican Party today, the Democratic Party has really lost their way. But they were such war hawks, and they wouldn't really talk about central economic banking. There was all these things that weren't a part of any of these party platforms, but these fringe candidates came out and put a spotlight on them, and they had to address them and take them seriously and take a stance and gradually make things a little bit better. So what do you guys think about the hysteria in the media right now? The whole racist thing just reminds me sort of like when Joe Rogan was coming out and had COVID, and they tried to make him look all sick and didn't take the vaccine and was taking alternative medicine like ivermectin. There was this, and he was having on doctors like Dr. Malone that wasn't going along with the mainstream narrative on his thoughts on the vaccine. There was this whole thing. He's a racist. He's this. He's picking horse medication. And if you dig deeper, it's because they would have never gotten their vaccine approvals if there was alternative medicine. If ivermectin can work, if hydrochloroquine can work, the vaccine doesn't, would not have passed all these emergency protocols. And one thing RFK Jr. is trying to spread light on, he's saying there's not enough safety tests. There's actually no safety test done in the long term with placebo-controlled trials, pre-licensing of any of these vaccines. So he's not saying vaccines are bad. He says we don't really know their long-term side effects. And we've seen examples where there is some bad long-term side effects. Let's say I think it's the chickenpox vaccine. It's actually no longer used in Europe because it breaks out shingles later. So chickenpox is actually not as bad as shingles. So they don't do it. And these things have long time horizons when they actually play out. And that's just one example. And he has others. So he's just not allowed to speak because it's not the mainstream narrative. And I think vaccines are great. I think having vaccines is amazing, but you should be able to have conversations about them and not be thrown in this corner as some conspiracy theorist, they like to say, or what have you. So they're gonna do whatever they can to stop RFK Jr. I definitely think it's one of the most interesting things to happen in politics, his candidacy since Ron Paul. So pretty excited to see a politician that can actually explain what Bitcoin is. Pretty cool. He wants to free political prisoners like potentially Ross Ulbricht. I'd like him to sound a little bit more confident on that, but he has said it several times. Edward Snowden, Julian Assange. So pretty cool stuff. So anyways, guys, thanks for checking out the video. Stay tuned. I have more content coming up, and I'll see you in my next one.